few more functions about the finance we are going to see today. Okay, so the recording has been started. There is my first worksheet which talks about the coverage of various financial functions that we have done till now. So all those functions, if you can recall a bit, FV stands for the future value, PMT was to find the installment amount from the loan or the installment amount to be invested to get something after some years from the future value. FV schedule was used when different rates were given to you and you were supposed to find the future value for different rate of returns. Rate was nothing but the rate of return from the annuity. Effect and nominal also we have seen NPV, IRR, XNPV, XIRR, PPMT, IPMT. Then loan amortization schedule as well we have prepared. CUM Prince function we have seen. CUM IPMT as well we have seen. Now some of the functions which are related to bonds we haven't seen yet. And one, there is a concept of MIRR which also I think should be very important for you as far as analyzing the returns are concerned, because MIRR is the modified and extended version of IRR. There were certain problems in IRR. So we need to first see that what are those problems in the IRR, and that's why we were supposed to move to MIRR for that. Okay, so MIRR is the function which I am adding over here, which I am going to do today. And 16 would be, now why I'm telling this MIRR and every such sort of a functions right now. The reason behind is this, because in the third and fourth and fifth module where we are going to do the statistical analysis, where we are going to understand the returns, where we are going to use some techniques, some charting patterns, at that time those functions should be very much clear to you. So at that time, if something comes to you, something comes across to you, you must be aware about those functions. MIRR you might have studied in some of the subjects. I think in advanced financial management subjects, specialization subjects, somewhere it would have come to you. But still, I would clear it from my side. No need to worry for that. And bond related functions we are going to do. So price of bond, then yield of bond. These are also the two functions we are going to see. Okay, so let's move to the MIRR without wasting too much of time. MIR is there on my screen. Now, what is there in MIRR and why it is extended version of IRR? Why there is any need of it? First of all, if you go through the function of IRR, no, let's see that. What we were doing, we were having the negative cash flows, we were having the positive cash flows. So when I say negative cash flows, these were the cash outflow. When we were having the positive cash flows, that we can say cash inflow. Now cash outflow and cash inflow, both were reinvested at a same rate, and the same rate at which they were reinvested was the IRR. So IRR was the rate which we were supposed to find, that what is the rate exactly we are getting as far as the compounding is concerned from these cash outflows and cash inflows. If we spend 1 lakh rupees, 1 lakh rupees up to 10 years, and for the next 10 years, if we are going to get 2 lakhs rupees, 2 lakhs rupees, 2 lakhs rupees, then what is the rate of return we are exactly getting from this investment plan? That was the IRR. But the primary problem with this assumption is that it was assuming that cash outflow and cash outflow and cash inflow, both are discounted or both are reinvested at.
Sorry, sir. Sir, screen is not visible.
Okay, screen is not visible. Let me Thank you very much for reminding it to me, Ms. Jinkle. Okay, so if I go to the IRR worksheet, some of the students might not have got it. So starting from there again, what we were there, we were having the cash outflows and cash inflows in one investment plan. Say in this example, we were having the cash outflow of 1 lakh rupees for 10 years, and then there was a cash inflow that was starting from year number 11 and it was ending to year number 20. In that, we were getting 2 lakhs rupees in each year. Now, what we were finding in the IRR? We were finding that what is the exact rate of return we have got from this investment plan? Yes or no? Is everyone there on the same paper till now? So I can move ahead. You have got the meaning of IRR, right? What is the exact rate of return, exact rate of reinvestment that we get if this cash flow pattern has to be followed? 10 years cash outflow, then again next 10 years cash inflow. Based on that, we were supposed to find the exact rate of return we have got from this investment plan. That was the IRR. Now, the primary problem and the mistake in this IRR is that it was treating cash outflow and cash inflow equally. The same rate we have got over here. Check it out. IRR is the rate we are getting. We have selected cash outflows and cash inflows entirely, and we had guessed one rate, and the exact rate of return was given to us. That was 7.17% in this investment plan. So what does it mean? Where does it falter as far as the analytical problems are concerned? It falters when it assumes that cash inflows and cash outflows both needs to be treated equally with the same rate, which is a wrong assumption. Because if you see the cash outflow, now what do you understand by the cash outflow? This is the investment you are making, right? So if you are making the investment, if you are making the cash outflow, it should not be treated with the same rate of the return which you are getting. Your return expectations shall be different, understood. Your return expectation should be 20 percentage, 15 percentage, understood. But return expectations which you have, no, that should be kept from this cash inflows only, not from the cash outflows. You cannot put the same rate in cash inflow and cash outflow. So that was the problem with IRR. IRR was assuming the same rate between the cash inflow and cash outflow for the reinvestment. It was treating the outflow and inflow equally. But if we understand this logically, outflow is something which we are making the investment. This is nothing but the investment. And whatever the investment we make shall not be discounted at the IRR. Investment shall not be discounted at the IRR. Investment should be discounted at the cost of finance. Because we have gathered this money from somewhere and then we are making the investment, right? We have gathered this money by issuing the equity shares. We have gathered this money by, if we are thinking from the perspective of the corporate, we have gathered this money of investment from taking the loan. We might have gathered this money for making the investment by borrowing the money from some financial institutions from some individual. So the investment that we are making, no, for that we should not use the IRR. For that we use the cost of finance. For that we should ideally use the cost of finance. You cannot put cash inflow and outflow both in the same bracket. Yes, the inflows which you have, no, on that you expect IRR, fine. That is your expected rate of return. Understood. But on outflow you cannot, because outflow you have gathered, that is the investment which you are making, and the investment which you are making is gathered from the various sources of finance. The sources of finance can be equity, can be debt, can be something else. So the cost that you have incurred to get that source of finance shall be taken to discount or to compound this cash outflow. So those who are not getting it, let me make it very clear by simplifying it further. Cash outflow shall be discounted differently. Cash inflow shall be discounted or compounded differently. You cannot put cash outflow and inflow into the same bracket. That is the argument made by MIRR, and there is a logic behind it. They are clearly stating the logic that if you treat cash inflows and outflows equally, you will not be able to get the exact answer, because cash outflow is something which cannot be discounted at IRR. It should be discounted at the cost of finance, because cash outflow is the investment which you are making, and the investment you are making, that you might have gathered from, say, by raising the equity, or by taking the loan, or from your or reserves and surpluses, you are investing this money somewhere. So the cost of finance which you have for this, no, that shall be taken as the discounting rate as far as outflows are concerned. I hope I'm very clear to all of you now. If you have any queries or doubt till now, please let me know. Anyone having any queries? All of you, surely? Okay. Very simplified version. No need to get, you no need to get worried about it. There is no complexity in it. Please try to understand very easily. IRR assumes that cash outflows and cash inflows both should be treated, both should be compounded at one rate. That is which rate? IRR. But MIRR, that is the modified internal rate of return, says no to this practice. It says that you cannot treat cash inflows and outflows equally in the similar fashion, in the similar manner. Cash outflows should be treated differently. Cash inflows should be treated differently. As far as cash outflow is concerned, for them, which rate shall be applicable? For cash outflows, cost of finance shall be applicable, because outflow is the investment which you are making, and investment you have gathered. For investment, how do you get the money? If you want to make some investment from the corporate perspective, try to understand how do you make the money, how do you invest somewhere? By taking the money from someone, right? If you are a company, you take the money from the equity shareholders and then invest into some of the projects. If you are a company, then you take the loan from some of the institutions and then you invest somewhere, or you have your own reserves and surpluses from which you make the investment of this cash outflows. So the cost of finance applicable to equity, loan, and reserves and surpluses from which you have financed this cash outflows, that shall be the rate considered for the outflow, and IRR can be taken for inflow. Inflow, it is fine, understood. It is the return which you are getting, for that you take the IRR, understood. But for cash outflow, my dear friends, you should not take it. That is the argument made by the creators of MIRR. So MIRR is something which is the modified internal rate of return. It is internal rate of return only, but it is the modified version of internal rate of return, where the cash outflows will be treated differently at a differently at different rate, and cash inflow will be treated differently at different rate. So here we require two types of rate. One rate is the cost of finance. Now cost of finance will be applicable to what? It will be applicable to the cash outflows. And another rate we require is the reinvestment rate, or we can call it a IRR. And that will be applicable to what? That will be applicable to the cash inflows. सो भगवान ने जो जोड़ी बनाई थी कैश इनफ्लो और आउटफ्लो की, ये लोगों ने आके बीच में दरार कर दी, आउटफ्लो को अलग कर दिया, इनफ्लो को अलग कर दिया। आउटफ्लो को बोला कि भाई तेरा डिस्काउंटिंग हम करेंगे कॉस्ट ऑफ फाइनेंस से, और इनफ्लो को बोल दिया कि तेरा डिस्काउंट हम करेंगे आईआरआर से। दोनों के बीच में डिस्क्रिमिनेशन कर दिया। अब दोनों के बीच में डिस्क्रिमिनेशन करना जरूरी भी था, क्योंकि उनके पास लॉजिक था। लॉजिक ये था कि आउटफ्लो को इनफ्लो को दोनों को तुम एक तरह सिमिलर वे में ट्रीट नहीं कर सकते। तो उनकी बात भी सही है। तो उनकी बात अगर सही है तो फिर चलो फाइंड करते हैं एमआईआरआर। Everyone would be doing it along with me. The function of MIRR starts with MIRR, opening the bracket. Now selecting the values, I am selecting all the values starting from the minus to the last one. All the values needs to be selected. Everyone should be there along with me over there. If you are there, then just let me know. नींद में से खड़े हो जाइए, ब्लैंकेट पहन के बैठे हुए हो तो ब्लैंकेट को निकाल दीजिए। एयर कंडीशन रूम में बैठे हुए हो तो थोड़े से अनकंफर्टेबल सिचुएशन में आ जाइए, क्योंकि कंफर्ट में कभी भी लर्निंग नहीं होती। Right from the Indian philosophy to the Western philosophy, or you take any religion, or you take any such sort of a spiritual system, everyone says that learning always happens in the uncomfortable situation. More and more comforts you get, less and less learning you will be having in such type of an environment. With comfort, we become weak. With uncomfort, we become stronger. So you need to be little bit in uncomfortable zone. Okay, so all the values once are selected, I'm pressing comma. What is the second parameter in this syntax? Who will tell me? My question is to all. That should be visible to you in your Excel file if you have opened any. And if you haven't opened the Excel file,
Finance rate.
Finance rate. So cost of finance is the finance rate, right? So here in this case, cost of finance is not given to you. So I am assuming that cost of finance is 12%. And the reinvestment rate, that is the expectation rate we have from the cash inflow, is 18%. Okay. So cost of finance is 12%. Reinvestment rate we want is 18% from the cash inflows. Some of the students would be like, sir, there is no worksheet for the MIRR. We'll have to type this entirely. How can you be so fast? Okay, giving you some time to write it. I was not aware that you were not having it. Please do it. Giving 30 seconds to write to everyone. Yes, Dara, it is perfectly correct. It is the finance rate. Yes, who is there? Who is there? I'm unable to hear you. Yes, Onsmi, your voice is cutting too much.
I would like to know.
Mr. Onsmi, I am extremely sorry, but I am unable to hear anything which you are saying because your voice is breaking a lot. I hope the same is the experience with every student, right? Can you hear the voice of Onsmi, Mr. Onsmi? Give me a confirmation. Exactly. So similar reply I am getting from the various students. I think your voice is not audible. Mr. Onsmi, I think some network connectivity issue is there. If you can put your doubt through the chat box, please. I can understand the struggles faced by the students. At some time when you do not have the good internet connectivity, it becomes extremely difficult to join the online classes. I can understand this, but what we can do, this is the only alternative we have. Okay. Is it written, all of you? Shall I move ahead? Okay, some students have given me the answers as well. बहुत एडवांस है भैया यहाँ पे तो बच्चे. मैं अभी फाइनेंस रेट में रखड़ रहा हूँ, तो यहाँ पे बच्चों ने मुझे आंसर दे दिए MIRR के. दारा इज गिवन मी 18%. Is everyone getting the same answer? Please check it out, everyone. Good. Dilip, Divya, Janisha, Mr. Onsmi, Miss Poonam, Miss Tanvi, Miss Vaishali, everyone do it. Is equal to MIR. I have selected all the values starting from the first one to the last one. Then there is a finance rate. Finance rate is 12% in this case. So I am writing 12%. So cash outflows will be treated with the finance rate in this case. No need to clarify that again because I have already clarified it for 3 to 4 times. Comma. The last one we have is the reinvestment rate. That is the expected rate of return we have from this investment avenue. And the expected rate of return we have from this investment avenue is 18%. So that means we are taking two rates to give the effect to the cash outflows and cash inflows. Cash outflows will be treated at 12%. Cash inflows will be treated with 18%. For both of them, we have a different treatment. Closing the bracket, pressing enter, we are getting 18% over here. And if I increase the decimals a bit from here, then 17.51% is the exact answer I am getting. And beta, 18% and 17.51% makes the huge difference, huh? Please put it in the back of your mind. Okay, so MIRR is absolutely clear. One more sum for the practice. Everyone would be doing it along with me over here. Say if you are making the investment of 2 lakhs rupees in initial 4 years and 3 lakhs rupees is the return you expect for all number of years starting from year number 5 to year number 10. So 3 lakhs, 3 lakhs you are going to get from this investment plan scheme, and 2 lakhs, 2 lakhs you are going to invest for first 4 number of years. Now one person came to you and said that, Mr. Ronak, if you will invest 2 lakhs, 2 lakhs on 4 years, then 3 lakhs rupees would be the income I would be able to give you starting from the 5th year onwards to the 10th year. And my finance rate in this case is going to be, I'm writing those rates. Finance rate is going to be 11%, and my reinvestment rate, or I can call it the expected rate of return. Reinvestment rate is say at 16%. So find the MIRR. My question to all. Giving you 30 seconds or a minute. Okay, so what is the answer we are getting? Avni, Dhara, and Jinkle has got it. Please increase the decimals from here. From here, you can increase the decimals. Number section of the home tab. From here, you can increase the decimals. So let me do it for all. MIRR equal to selecting all the values, comma, finance rate shall be the 11 percentage, comma, reinvestment rate shall be 16 percentage. Closing the bracket, pressing enter, and I got 16 percentage. But that is the wrong answer. It needs to be rounded off. From the number section, I go to this one, this comma style ke baju mein. Here we have increased decimal and here we have decreased decimal. So I am going to increase decimal. So it comes at 16.36 percentage. दोनों का हमने कर दिया डाइवोर्स, दोनों को कर दिए अलग. आउटफ्लो को बोल दिया कि तुम्हें फाइनेंस रेट से किया जाएगा, इनफ्लो को बोल दिया कि तुम्हें रीइन्वेस्टमेंट रेट से किया जाएगा. दोनों के बीच में हमने कर दी दीवार, दोनों हो गए अलग. और हमें तो यही करने में मजा आता है. लेट्स मूव टू द नेक्स्ट कॉन्सेप्ट. Bond related function that we are going to complete today. Okay. Now, can someone tell me what is a bond if you have got it from any of the studies you have done for any of the subjects till now? If you can just let me know the meaning of bond. Very basic understanding you have something about the bond. You can share that with me. My question to all. What do you understand by the bond? Have you heard it anywhere till now? I hope I'm clear. Anyone? Okay. Have you heard the debentures anywhere while doing the cost of debt? Yes, my question is that have you heard the debenture or bond anywhere till now in any of the studies of any of the subjects? Okay, if someone can let me know the answer of it. What is that bond or debenture? Okay, let me clarify this to you for all of you. Please try to understand, because the problems here happens in the financial analytics is that if we are not clear with the conceptual understanding about the various topics, then we cannot move to the analytical aspects of it. First, we should be clear about the conceptual understanding. So there are various assumptions taken while drafting the syllabus of financial analytics that people should at least know this. But sometimes what happens that we actually may not know about, we may not be aware about those concepts, and that's why it becomes little difficult for us to apply the analytics on it. Let's try to understand the bond. Bond is a source of finance for the company. Bond is nothing but the loan which company takes from the people or from the public financial institutions. People or financial institutions. They take the loan from people. Now, this loan is not something which is taken in lump sum. This loan is taken in bits and pieces. Say 100 rupees is the value of one bond we are keeping. So based on the capacity of a person, he or she will invest into a bond of a company according to according to the requirement of he or she, or according to the availability of money with them. They would invest in the bond. So if someone is having the capacity to invest 1000 bonds, they would do the investment in 1000 bonds. If someone is just having the capacity to invest in 100 bonds, they would be purchasing only 100 bonds of the company. So company is taking the money from the people, right? And people will be getting the interest from the company for the bond. These bonds are publicly traded as well. Bonds is not something which is issued only by the company. It can be issued by the government institutions. It can be issued by the state governments as well. Central government. It can be issued by the RBI. Bonds can be issued by any person. But what is the exact conceptual understanding behind the bond is the loan which they are taking from the people, and people invest in the bonds of the companies and financial institutions to get the interest, right? Now, why anyone would be investing in the bond instead of fixed deposits? Because sometimes bonds offers very good interest rates. 11-12% of an interest rates were also being, last time just before the COVID, some of the perpetual bonds were there which were giving the interest of around 15 to 16 percentage. That was the insane rate. 15-16 percentage of a return from a bond without incurring too much of a risk, that is a very good rate. So this bonds gives a higher interest rates as compared to certain other fixed deposits and other investment avenues. That's why people invest into it. Okay. Now, if you invest in the bond, it is not the only interest which you get as a return, right? Say market price of the bond is 90, and bond, the life of this bond is say 5 years. Once this 5 years will be completed, the maturity value, the value of the bond that would be given to you after the completion of this 5 years would be say 110. So you are earning this 20 rupees as well? No. My question is this: it is not only the interest which you are receiving, it is interest plus change in price. That is the exact return you are getting. So we called it yield. And if we want to find this yield in percentage, then there is a function of yield in the Excel. Why yield is different from the interest rate? Because it is not the only interest which you get from the bond. Over and above the interest, you get the change in the price as well. Because when you are investing, it is 90. When you are getting your money back after 5 years, you are getting 110. So additional 20 rupees as well you have got from this bond, right? So yield is interest plus change in price. That is the exact percentage of a return you have got. So bond, you cannot say that only the interest rate is the rate of return for you. In fixed deposit, what happens if you invest 1 lakh rupees, after 5 years only 1 lakh rupees would be given to you along with the interest, right? In any of the investment avenues, there is no difference between the market price and the maturity price, but that happens in the bond. When you take the bond, when you purchase the bond, they might be available at the different rate, and when the bonds will be matured, when the life of the bond will be over, something else would be given to you. So you are getting two types of return from it, and collectively in totality we call those returns as the yield from the bond, and that can be found in the percentage, right? Okay, so I'm going to the bond yield. So this is my Excel file. Everyone should be writing this bond yield over there. You may please write this in your Excel file, and then I can move to calculation aspect of it. I hope it is visible to all of you, and you have understood the meaning of yield, right? All of you. Any queries in understanding the bond yield? What I said about bond yield, have you got it, Mr. Dilip, Miss Divya, Miss Janisha? Are you getting it surely? Miss Khyati? Good, thank you. So bond is nothing but a promissory note which is given by a company or the financial institution that Mr. Ronak, Miss Khyati, Miss Jinkle, if you will invest in our company, then we will give you some interest rate, right? But interest rate is not the only rate of return which the investor gets from the bond. Along with the interest rate, there is another return as well. And that another return is the change in the market price. Because when you had invested, the price would be different. What exactly you are going to get after the maturity, that would be different. So difference between the two is also another income which you get from the bond. So that's why the yield is the total of the price change as well as the interest. Please write it down in your Excel and then we may move to the sum of it. And once it is done, you should let me know that you have done it. Some of the people would be saying yes sir just for the sake of saying me yes sir. They would be like sir इतने efforts ले रहे तो हम बोलेंगे कि नहीं समझ में आया तो कैसा लगेगा? बेटा ऐसा बिल्कुल भी सोचने की जरूरत नहीं है. If you feel that you are not getting something or some of the terms which needs to be explained in a better manner from my side, you should tell it to me. No need to be worried about anything. A person who asks the question might be a fool for a one time, but a person who doesn't ask the question is a fool for the lifetime. So it's our
Yeah,
choice.
yeah. I will get a special session with me. I won't disturb other people, but I will call you, make a rendezvous.
Fine on me, absolutely fine. You can call me later as well. And still your voice is breaking a lot. I think you are facing uh, some internet connectivity
Connection
issues at your
problem.
place.
Yeah, I'm getting off and in, and I'm lost everywhere.
Okay. You can call me after
Mm.
some time, right? Fine.
Thank you very much.
Yes. Absolutely no need to be worried about. And you can go through the recorded session as well again. Okay, the silence should not be perpetual. It should end somewhere. I hope students have done it. And those who have started now, I do not have too much of time for you, my dear students now. You may take a snap of it and then you can do. But please ensure that the settlement date and the maturity date which are written over here must be in the date format. It must be the date format. If it would be there in some other format, then answer will not be coming properly. So it must be appropriately written in a date format. Okay, let me start explanation of this. Settlement date is the date on which the bond is issued to you and you have invested in this bond. So that is the settlement date. On that date, the settlement occurred. So that means you had invested in that bond on which day? 14th of November 2020. And the maturity will be 14th of September 2029. It's not November, it's September. Sorry for that. So 14th of September 2029 is going to be the maturity date. So that means at that date, your money will be given return to you. Your money will be returned to you Till this point of time, what is the interest rate you are going to get? 11%. You have invested in the bond at the price of 90, and the redemption value that you will be giving, that you will be receiving after the end of the maturity of this bond will be 110. And payment terms I will explain later on. Meanwhile, just in a second, just in a 2 minutes. I hope all these terms are clear to you. Settlement date is the date on which the bonds are given to you. You have entered into a contract. Maturity date is the date when your contract will be over, when your agreement will be over, when the redemption will take place, when the life of the bond will be over. And at the time of redemption, you will be receiving your money back, which you had invested in the company. Rate of interest is the interest you get from the bond. Price is something on which you had invested. Redemption value is 110. And payment terms I am going to explain when the formula will come. Okay. So if you want to find the yield from this, there is a function called yield only, Y-I-E-L-D. Select the yield function. And the first argument in the syntax is the settlement date. I am selecting the settlement date over here. Comma, to go to the next parameter, we have maturity. So selecting the maturity date from here, maturity date is the second parameter. Comma, rate is the interest rate we get. Okay. So what is the interest rate we have got in this case? 11%. So I'm selecting 11% over here. Comma. The fourth parameter is the price. The price at which you are investing in the bond, that is 90 rupees. So I'm selecting that 90 now. Comma. Redemption is the money which you are going to get once the life of this bond will be over, and you are going to get 110 at that time. So I'm selecting that 110, comma. The frequency can be annual, semi-annual, quarterly. On what basis you are going to get the interest? If you are going to get the interest on semi-annual basis, on 6-month basis, then frequency you are going to select at 2. If you are you are going to get the return on yearly basis, then frequency will be 1. On quarterly basis, then frequency will be 4, because in 1 year you have 4 quarters. So in this case, no information is given to us. So that's why we are assuming that yearly interest rate we are getting. So I'm writing 1, that is the frequency, comma, and there is a basis, the last parameter. Basis is nothing but the day count basis. In US, the day count is taken on 30 days basis as far as financial calculations are concerned. They take 30 days in a month. So accordingly, 360 days will be there in a year. So that is the number of days count basis they are following when they calculate any such sort of a financial indicator or evaluation of any financial term. So day basis can be actual, can be 360. So if I write 0, no, then 360 will be assumed that would be the total number of days in a year, and 30 days will be there in a month, and accordingly it will calculate the yield. But if I do 1, then it will assume the actual dates, that in this number of years what were the actual total days. In some of the years it would be 365, in some of the years it could be 366 as well, if the years would be leap year. So it would take the actual count if I'll take 1. But let me put 0, that is 360. We are assuming that in 1 year there are 360 days, and in 1 month there are 30 days. Pressing enter, and you get the bond yield, that is 13.62%. If I convert this into a percentage, I'm sorry, please don't worry, it's not corona. And even if it is corona, it cannot be transmitted through this. So the exact yield we are getting is 13.63 percentage from this bond. I hope you have got it. Any queries or any questions till now? Anyone? Tara, Janisha, Jogeshwari, error come. Okay, you might have got the error, Avni, because your dates might not be in a proper format. Please put it in a date format. 14th of September 2020. Please ensure that you are not making any mistake in doing the signs of dash over there. The errors would have occurred because your dates will not be in a date format. We need to ensure that it must be a date format which is recognizable by the Excel, because Excel doesn't know what is date and what is number. We need to tell them that these are the dates. And if you are supposed to tell them, then it must be in a date format. Anyone else? Are you all getting the answer there? Okay, it's in a date format only. Then check it whether the rate of interest and price and redemption value, everything you have properly count. Please check it, this syntax you have followed while doing that. Some error should be there from your side only, otherwise it shouldn't come. Okay, other students may take another example. Meanwhile, I'll take the attendance. Till that time you can do it. From this information you may start doing it. Just give me a second. Okay, Vaisali has got the error too. I need to check that where you people are getting stuck. Just give me a second. I hope my Excel screen is visible to you, right?